This is going to continue to be a drama, and a drama that Roberto Martinez created by bringing him to the World Cup.
It felt inevitable that he was going to end up on the score sheet sooner or later. And credit where it's due, that was some unexpected character growth from him too, stepping aside and letting someone else take the free kick.
5 in red in the middle, Ronaldo! He's done it again, and he drills it in! Cristiano Ronaldo!
The fake out worked perfectly and caught everyone sleeping. The FIFA World Cup is football's biggest stage, and Ronaldo's history in this tournament has been a wild ride from start to finish. He's delivered moments that people will replay for years, and moments that had the whole football world locked in and debating. But there have also been some rough chapters. Every World Cup has shown a different version of Ronaldo. First, the electric winger leaving defenders chasing shadows, then the goal machine smashing records, and later a veteran trying to stay one step ahead of time itself. No matter the version, whether goals were flying in or not, he always stayed at the center of the conversation. For some fans, he's the greatest scorer and one of the greatest players football has ever seen. For others, he's a superstar still chasing one more big moment. At 41, Ronaldo obviously isn't the same unstoppable force from his peak years. Add in his club football move to Saudi Arabia, and people started throwing serious questions around. Could he still lead Portugal's attack with so many younger stars pushing through the squad? The Nations League victory had quieted a lot of that noise for a while. Ronaldo came through with big goals at the most important moments, including in the final. But football moves fast, and after Portugal's opening match against the Democratic Republic of Congo, the doubts came rushing back. Ronaldo stayed on for all 90 minutes, but to a lot of viewers, it looked like he was barely involved. He looked isolated for long stretches, just 25 touches across the entire match, the lowest total he had ever recorded in a major international tournament while playing the full game. A couple of good chances slipped away, no shots on target, and overall he struggled to stamp his mark on the match as Portugal settled for a frustrating 1-1 draw. Since he's the biggest name and the face of the team, the reaction hit hard. Social media exploded with criticism. Even I made a video about it. For a few days, it felt like the exact same debate people had during the 2022 World Cup and the 2024 Euros. Was Ronaldo finally running out of road? With the pressure stacking up, Martinez switched things around. João Felix got the start, Ruben Dias returned fully fit, and right from kickoff, Portugal looked sharper, calmer, and way more balanced. Then only 6 minutes into the match, Ronaldo fired back at every critic in the loudest way possible. From that moment on, Portugal grabbed control and never really let go. Nuno Mendes made it 2-0, and right before halftime, Ronaldo struck again to stretch the lead to 3. After coming off one of the roughest World Cup performances of his career, he turned around and delivered one of his strongest displays on this stage. He ended the game with 2 goals, 7 shots, 6 on target, and looked involved in everything Portugal created. And the bigger moment was the history attached to it. Those goals pushed Ronaldo up to 10 World Cup goals, moving past the legendary Eusebio and making him Portugal's top scorer in World Cup history. That's a serious jump from the version of Ronaldo many people first saw back in 2006. Germany 2006 was the first World Cup where the football world really got introduced to Cristiano Ronaldo on the biggest stage. He was only 21, still more of a fearless winger than the goal machine people would later know. Full of confidence, packed with tricks, explosive speed, and that energy that made defenders nervous every time he got on the ball. Portugal at that time were going through a changing period. They still leaned heavily on stars from the famous golden generation like Luis Figo, Deco, and Pauleta. But it was becoming impossible to ignore what was coming next. Ronaldo was clearly becoming the face of the future. Under Luis Felipe Scolari, Ronaldo had freedom to attack, run directly at defenders, and create problems from wide areas. His first World Cup goal arrived in the group stage against Iran, where he calmly buried a penalty and helped Portugal secure a 2-0 win. Portugal moved through the group confidently, and then survived a chaotic round of 16 battle against the Netherlands. That game, became legendary for all the intensity and drama, and ended up being known as the Battle of Nuremberg. Ronaldo had to leave injured and visibly emotional after a heavy challenge, but Portugal still pushed through and kept the dream alive. That earned them a massive quarterfinal against England. After 120 minutes, the score stayed locked at 0-0 and everything came down to penalties. Portugal goalkeeper Ricardo turned into the hero of the night, saving 3 English penalties and opening the door to the semi-finals. Then came the moment of truth. Ronaldo stepped up for the decisive kick with the pressure on full blast. The young winger stayed ice cold, smashed the ball into the corner, and exploded away in celebration as Portugal reached their first World Cup semifinal in 40 years. That was one of the first major signs that Ronaldo lived for the biggest moments and never backed away when the pressure got heavy. And when penalties came around, he always looked ready for the spotlight. But strangely, the moment most people remember from Ronaldo's 2006 World Cup wasn't the winning penalty at all. It was the wink. During that quarterfinal against England, Ronaldo's Manchester United teammate Wayne Rooney was sent off after an incident involving Ricardo Carvalho. Ronaldo immediately appealed to the referee, and Rooney was shown a straight red card. As Rooney walked off, cameras caught Ronaldo giving a quick wink toward the Portuguese bench. That one tiny moment created a massive storm back in England. The reaction exploded overnight. British media went all in and painted Ronaldo as the villain of the story. Headlines accused him of turning against his club teammate. And suddenly people started saying his partnership with Rooney at Manchester United was finished before it even had a chance to continue. That single moment changed how a lot of English fans viewed Ronaldo. He went from exciting young star to one of the most disliked footballers in the country almost instantly. The pressure, the drama, the attention, it all got turned up another level. By the time the 2010 World Cup arrived, Cristiano Ronaldo had become the biggest name in football. Coming off his record-breaking move to Real Madrid, he entered the tournament carrying the expectations of an entire nation on his shoulders. Portugal manager Carlos Queiroz had also handed him the captain's armband, making him the face of a team going through a transition period. But with that status came huge pressure. Portugal's road to South Africa had already been difficult, and once they arrived, Queiroz set the team up in a cautious defense-first style. It kept things solid at the back, and Portugal recorded clean sheets against Ivory Coast, North Korea, and Brazil. The problem was going forward. Portugal struggled to create clear chances and often looked like they were waiting for Ronaldo to pull something out of nowhere. Defenders crowded him, support was limited, and too often he ended up isolated in attack. Portugal only scored in one match the entire tournament, a huge 7-0 win over North Korea, before their run ended against eventual champion Spain in the round of 16. Suddenly, the questions started again. Ronaldo had the spotlight, but not the World Cup moment people expected. Ronaldo's biggest moment from that 2010 World Cup came during the famous win over North Korea. And here's the wild part. Going into that match, he hadn't scored for Portugal in more than 16 months. Then, in the 87th minute, the drought finally ended with one of the weirdest goals of his entire career. The ball bounced around, things got messy, and somehow Ronaldo managed to finish the move in a way that looked almost impossible to predict. It was one of those moments where people were watching and thinking, what even just happened? Strange goal or not, the reaction said everything. You could see the relief all over him. Even though Portugal didn't fully click as a team, Ronaldo's individual performances still grabbed attention. He was named man of the match in all 3 group stage games, showing that even when Portugal struggled to create, he remained the player people watched most closely. But the lowest point of that tournament came after Portugal's exit against Spain. Following the 1-0 defeat, a clearly frustrated Ronaldo walked off the pitch and reporters immediately asked him why Portugal had been eliminated. His response was cold, short, and instantly became a headline. Ask Carlos Queiroz. Then came 2014, and this was supposed to be Ronaldo's World Cup. He arrived in Brazil right in the middle of one of the strongest periods of his career. Only months earlier, he had won his second Ballon d'Or and helped Real Madrid finally lift their long-awaited 10th Champions League title, Lades. Everything looked lined up for Portugal to make a serious run with Ronaldo leading the charge. There was just one massive problem. His body was starting to fight back. In the months before the tournament, Ronaldo had been dealing with major knee and thigh problems. Medical advice reportedly pointed toward extended recovery time, but missing a World Cup was never really an option in his mind. So he kept going and played through it. That choice came with consequences. From the opening match, it was clear he wasn't moving like the Ronaldo people were used to seeing. The explosive bursts, sharp direction changes, and relentless athletic edge that made him one of football's most dangerous players just didn't look the same anymore. Portugal struggled badly and got hit with a heavy 4-0 loss to Germany in their first game. That was also the match where one of Ronaldo's free kicks ran straight into a wall and became one of those moments fans still talk about. He tried to drag the team forward, but when your own level isn't where you expect it to be, that job gets way harder. A 2-2 draw with the United States left Portugal hanging on, and heading into the final match, they needed something close to a miracle. Against the United States, Ronaldo still found a way to create one of those moments people never forget. Deep into stoppage time, Portugal were losing 2-1 and seconds away from elimination. The World Cup dream was fading fast. Then came one last attack. Ronaldo got the ball out on the right side and delivered an incredible curling cross into the box. Varela attacked it, powered the header home in the 95th minute, and suddenly everything changed. Portugal grabbed the draw and kept their hopes alive for a little longer. That moment reminded everyone of something important. Even if Ronaldo wasn't fully there physically, he could still change a game with one touch, one pass, one flash of quality. The speed might not have looked the same, but the football brain and the ability to deliver under pressure were still there. Portugal did go on to beat Ghana in the final group match, and Ronaldo scored the winning goal. But in the end, it still wasn't enough. They were eliminated on goal difference, and their World Cup ended in the group stage. Unlike 2010, where a lot of Portugal's problems came down to tactics and style of play, 2014 told a different story. This time, the main battle was physical. It became a reminder that even the greatest athletes can't always push past injuries forever, no matter how badly they want to. The shot, oh, it's gone in. If 2014 was about Ronaldo trying to battle through physical limits, then 2018 became the story of Ronaldo at his sharpest and most ruthless. Arriving in Russia, he looked ready. By then, he had already collected 5 Champions League titles, helped Portugal win Euro 2016, and completely changed his game. The flashy winger from earlier years had evolved into one of football's most dangerous finishers inside the box. Fernando Santos built Portugal's system around their captain. The setup was practical and disciplined, giving Ronaldo more freedom to stay high and focus on doing what he did best, scoring goals. For a while, it worked exactly how Portugal wanted. Then came Spain. Ronaldo exploded into the tournament with one of the most iconic performances of his career. He scored an incredible hat-trick in a dramatic 3-3 draw and followed it up with a powerful header against Morocco to secure a 1-0 win. After only 2 matches, he already had 4 goals and looked unstoppable again. But World Cups never stay smooth for long, and the story was far from over. Portugal's final group match against Iran turned into a frustrating night for Ronaldo. And honestly, it felt like these two teams kept finding each other over and over again at major tournaments. Portugal were leading 1-0 when Ronaldo got the perfect chance to close the game out from the penalty spot. Normally, that's the situation where people expect him to finish the job. But this time, Alireza Bayranvand came up with a huge save and denied him from one of the positions he's built his reputation on. As the game got more tense and chaotic, Ronaldo's frustration became more obvious. And there was another twist in the story too. On the opposite side was a very familiar face, Carlos Queiroz, the same manager Ronaldo had pointed to with his famous "Ask Carlos Queiroz" comment after the 2010 World Cup. Football really has a way of bringing old storylines back around. Because of the result and the group standings, Portugal advanced to the round of 16 but ended up drawing a dangerous Uruguay team that looked built to make life difficult. Uruguay defended with serious discipline. Diego Godin and Jose Maria Jimenez gave Ronaldo almost no room to operate, shutting down the spaces he usually attacks. At the other end, Edison Cavani delivered twice, and Uruguay came away with a 2-1 win to send Portugal home. But unlike earlier tournaments, the reaction afterward wasn't all directed at Ronaldo. If anything, Russia 2018 highlighted just how much Portugal depended on him. He scored 4 of Portugal's 6 goals and delivered one of the standout individual campaigns of the entire tournament. Then came Qatar 2022, and this became the most emotional and controversial World Cup chapter of Ronaldo's career. Heading into the tournament, the pressure around him was already massive. His relationship with Manchester United had completely broken down, and the public conversation around him changed fast after the interview that dominated football headlines. For the first time in years, people were seriously asking whether Ronaldo should still be Portugal's main starter. For so long, he had looked untouchable. Now, people were beginning to question things in a way they never had before. He actually started the tournament well. Against Ghana, Ronaldo scored from the penalty spot and became the first men's player to score in 5 different World Cups. Another huge record added to a career already packed with them. But after that moment, things didn't stay smooth. Ronaldo found it difficult to control games from open play, and the questions that had been building outside the pitch started getting louder again. Ronaldo looked less mobile than in previous years, and with every match, the criticism got louder. The conversations kept building until Fernando Santos made one of the biggest and boldest calls in Portuguese football history. He left Ronaldo on the bench. Instead, young forward Goncalo Ramos was given the start against Switzerland in the round of 16. What happened next completely changed the conversation. Ramos scored a hat-trick, Portugal won 6-1, and suddenly everyone was asking the same thing. Was Portugal actually stronger without Ronaldo? That debate carried into the quarterfinals, but Portugal then ran into a Morocco team playing with confidence, discipline, and serious belief. Ronaldo started on the bench again and entered in the second half as Portugal pushed hard for an equalizer. But the goal never came. Morocco held firm and secured a historic 1-0 victory, ending Portugal's World Cup run and creating one of the tournament's biggest stories. When the final whistle sounded, one of the tournament's most emotional moments followed. Ronaldo walked down the tunnel with cameras focused on him, visibly emotional as the reality of the results settled in. At 37 years old, he knew opportunities at this stage of his career were becoming fewer. And for the first time, it felt like Portugal's future might no longer revolve entirely around him. Now, as Ronaldo continues what is likely his final World Cup chapter, the story has become about much more than goals, records, or individual awards. The transformation has honestly been hard to ignore. Across 6 World Cups, he kept adapting, changing his game again and again to stay at the top while teammates, rivals, and entire football eras changed around him. From explosive winger to clinical finisher to experienced veteran, every version of Ronaldo brought a different challenge and a different conversation. Maybe the story ends with the trophy he has chased for his entire career. Maybe football writes a different ending one more time. Either way, Ronaldo's pursuit of greatness has already left a permanent mark on World Cup history. Whether people support him or question him, his journey has stayed impossible to ignore. This is Malik on football, and see you in the next one.